What do we do with our Turkana oil? We killed our refinery. That was a mistake. Shouldn't we also expand our strategic reserves, diversify our sources outside the Middle East to other African countries? And we have also to look at the entire value chain. Currently, the G2G thing is not working. It has been called government to gangster. But Mr. Speaker, as I finish, it's sad that we are here regularizing what was already announced yesterday. Someone is undermining Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, you have to protect Parliament from being undermined by...
Owen Bayer.
Thank you, Speaker. And I want to thank every member that joined in this debate and their overwhelming support. I think this is one of the few motions, Honorable Speaker, that everybody has supported, and I want to thank members. Also done the same in their parliaments. They have actually gone to reduce taxes in order to cushion their countrymen and women. And I think we are on the right trajectory. Honorable Speaker, I want to say that we are not just reducing fuel cost, but we are saving our economy. This move, Honorable Speaker, is not just about reduction of the fuel cost, but we are actually saving our economy because fuel, the effect and impact on fuel goes along many other sectors, and this is a move on the right direction. Honorable Speaker, I also want to say that I want to note what members have said, that we need to go deeper to look at the other levies and many other things so that we can bring down the cost. And I think this government is alive to such things, that we need to do everything possible to ensure that the prices of fuel do not skyrocket. And it is at a time like this, Honorable Speaker, that parliaments rise to the occasion to protect their citizens. And we have done that. We have done that under your leadership, Honorable Speaker, and this 13th Parliament will be remembered for coming out to protect the citizens. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, I want to say we need to end the war in the Far East, in the Middle East. That war needs to end because it is impacting us, a war that we never want to be involved in, but it is impacting us. And therefore, as we amplify our voices, let those that are responsible for this war end it so that we may not continue to have this fuel crisis as we have now. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I reply.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I'll now put the question at order number 15, which is that the value-added tax amendment bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, be now read a second time. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Value Added Tax Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 16, Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable members, will you be upstanding?
Honorable members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole House to consider the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026.
Close to.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Leader of majority, you had an amendment?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, we propose that we drop this amendment for the single reason that we do not want to give further extension apart from the one that we have given already, and therefore
you have withdrawn it on record. Very well. Honorable members, I therefore put the question that clause 2 be part of be part of the bill? Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. I put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Has no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we have come to the end of that committee of the whole. I will ask the mover to move the reporting.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Very well. I therefore put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, and approved the same without amendments.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request the Honorable Murungara to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. Kuria Kimani, take your seat. Today you are very mobile. Honorable members, I now propose the question which that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Question. I now put the question, honorable members, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
On Speaker, I beg to move that the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, be now read a third time. I also request the Honorable Kuria Kimani to second.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you, honorable members. I now propose the question, which is that the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2026, be now read a third time. We put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the value-added, I'll go back to order number 7. We were left with one statement by the majority leader. Call it out.
Order number 8, questions and statements.
Number 8 or number 7? Order number 7.
Order number 7, questions and
Order 44-2A. I rise to present the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 14th. Speaker, with regard to the business schedule for Tuesday next week, the House is expected to continue with the consideration of the following bills, should they not be concluded today. The Kenya Judiciary Academy Bill 2025, and 3, the Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill 2025. Of note, Honorable Speaker, the House will also consider Special Economic Zones Bill 2026 at the Committee of the Whole House within the timelines prescribed in the standing order. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the House will continue with the consideration of the following motions should they not be concluded today. Of course, they will not be concluded today. Honorable, seventh report of the audited accounts of various state companies, corporations for the financial year 2018-2019, 2020-2021. 2, inquiry into the pricing of tea in Kenya. 3, sixth report on the audited accounts for the Stores and Services Fund and Occupational Safety and Health Fund for the financial year 2020-2021 and 2021-2022. 4, reports on audited accounts of selected state corporations in the roads and transport sector. 5, 10th report on the audited accounts of the National Government Constituency Development Fund for the financial years 2017 to 2016 to 2017 to 2021, 2022. 6, 11th report on the audited accounts of the National Government Constituency Development Fund for the financial year 2016, 2017 to 2022, 2021, 2022. 7, report on public petition number 21 of 2025 regarding access to health care by cancer patients in the country. 8, report on the inspection visit to the East African Science and Technology Commission and the East African Health Research Commission. And 9, report of the Kenya delegation to the 151st Assembly to the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, and related meetings. Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 42A, 5, and 6, I wish to convey that 2 cabinet secretaries are scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon of Wednesday, 22nd April 2026, to respond to members' questions. They are the Cabinet Secretary for Education, who will respond to the following questions. Ordinary question number 007-2026 by the member for Katiani, the Honorable Robert Mbui, CBS MP, regarding whether the enrollment of in Tier 1 and Tier 2 schools has increased disproportionately to the detriment of Tier 3 and Tier 4 schools, which are now facing possible closure due to the declining student population. Ordinary question number 08 of 2026 by the member for Likoni, the Honorable Mishi Mboko MP, regarding the strategies by the Ministry and the Teacher Service Commission to alleviate the teacher shortage in Likoni sub-county. And 3, ordinary question number 009 of 2026 by the member for Iata, the Honorable Robert Basil MP, regarding harmonization of job grades, promotions, and payment of salaries, arrears for P1 teachers who upgraded to a diploma in ACD but have stagnated in job group grade C1 since 2015. The Cabinet Secretary for Water and Sanitation, who will respond to the following questions. 1, ordinary question number 10 of 2026 by the member for Rongo, the Honorable Paul Abur, MP, regarding the inordinate delay in procurement of another contractor for completion of construction of the Rongo Town Water Supply Project. And ordinary question number 10 of 2026 by the member for Ikolomani, the Honorable Bernard Shinali, MP, regarding status of operationalization of government-funded water projects in Luanaswa, Kasavai, Shinyika, Dirembe, Luenya, Shisele, Sabane, and St. Anne's Musoli Girls Primary School. Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee shall convene on Tuesday, 21st April 2026 to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House, and as I do, Honorable Speaker, I want to very sincerely thank every member for helping us and contributing to the VAT bill that we just, amendment bill we just concluded. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Hoja: ukaguzi wa asasi zisizo huru kikamilifu za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na ushoroba wa kati katika Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Mtoa hoja kuhitimisha.
Nani alikuwa akichangia hoja hilo? Ni nani alikuwa anachangia hiyo hoja? Na Irene Mayaka. Na Irene Mayaka yuko, amebakiza dakika ngapi? Sema hiyo kwa Kiswahili. Hoja ya nidhamu, sema na hoja gani ya nidhamu? Ni nidhamu gani imegeukwa ama imekeukwa?
Uchaguzi bunge la taifa.
Angalia kwa mkono wako wa kushoto utapata.
Bwana Spika, tunaomba clerk arudie kile ambacho amesoma. Hatujasikia chochote kile amesema. Kwa hivyo
yani hoja ambayo imeandikwa kwa order paper hujasikia ikisomwa. Inasema order ni kwa Kiswahili nini? Shughuli ya 9. Basi niyo tu. Hebu karani wa meza sema hiyo kwa Kiswahili.
Shughuli ya 9 maybe asome kile amesema, manake hatujasikia.
Haya, rudia hiyo.
Shughuli ya 9, hoja ukaguzi wa asasi zisizo huru kikamilifu za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na ushoroba wa kati katika Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
Nafikiri aliyekuwa kwenye akichangia hii hoja kwa kujibu alikuwa ni Madam Mayaka. Ni Mheshimiwa Mayaka. Irene Mayaka.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa nafasi ili nihitimishe hoja hili ambalo tulijadiliana na wabunge wenzangu ambao walikuwa hapa, walisaidia kwa kutupa ushirikiano katika hoja hili ambalo kamati letu la utangamano wa kikanda ama kwa kimombo regional integration liliwasilisha katika bunge hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, labda ili nisaidie mwenzangu Mheshimiwa Charles Nguna ni kumweleza ya kwamba hili lilikuwa hoja ambalo sisi kama kamati tulileta mbele ya bunge hili ili tujadiliane, tuone ya kwamba vipendekezo ambazo tulikuwa nazo kana kwamba ile ya kusema ya kwamba Kiswahili ya Afrika Mashariki ifadhiliwe kifedha na pia kiwafanyikazi, kwa sababu tuko na ushirikiano na tuko na commission ya Kiswahili pale Zanzibar ambayo tunataka isaidiwe. La pili ni kwamba bunge liunge mkono mafunzo ya Kiswahili kwa wabunge na wafanyikazi wa bunge. Wizara ambayo inahusika na masuala ya Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki ijihusishe kidiplomasia kushughulikia changamoto ambazo ni za lugha ya Kiswahili. Mheshimiwa Spika, sababu muhimu ambayo kamati yetu inachangia ya kwamba tukue na hii mjadala ni kwa sababu tunataka kueneza ya kwamba lugha ya Kiswahili katika eneo ya Afrika Mashariki iweze kutumika kana kwamba ni majadiliano ambayo inahusu uchumi, upanuzi wa biashara, ushirikiano wa kitamaduni na utulivu wa kisiasa kati ya Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, tukikumbuka ya kwamba hivi majuzi ambayo ni mwezi uliopita tulikuwa na mkutano wa marais wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki ambao walipatana na wakazidi kusisitiza ya kwamba sisi kama nchi ambazo ziko katika jumuiya hii tuendelee kusaidiana, tuendelee kuwajibiana na tuendelee kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunafanya biashara pamoja, kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, kama nchi yetu hii ya Kenya tunafanya biashara mingi zaidi katika mkanda huu wa Afrika Mashariki kushinda pande yote ingine katika dunia hii. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka tu kuwashauri wabunge wenzangu tushirikiane kwa maneno haya, na pia kuna mbunge mmoja ambaye aliongea hapa na akasema ya kwamba sisi kama wabunge wa Kenya tunafaa ya kwamba tuweke kando siku moja hata kama ni masaa mawili tuweze kuongelea lugha ya Kiswahili, kwa sababu hii ndio lugha ambayo tunatumia ambapo tunaongea na wananchi pale katika tunapotafuta kura na tunapoongelesha wananchi. Kwa hivyo tunasisitiza ya kwamba hata sisi wanabunge wakati ambapo tuko hapa bungeni tushirikiane tuongee lugha hii ya Kiswahili. Kwa hayo machache Mheshimiwa Spika, ningetaka tu kuchukua fursa hii kushukuru ofisi ya Mheshimiwa Spika, ofisi ya Katibu Mkuu wa Bunge ambayo ni ofisi ya clerk, kushukuru kamati yangu ambayo ni kamati ya utengamano wa kikanda ama kwa kimombo kamati ya regional integration kwa kuhusika pamoja kuhakikisha kwamba ripoti hii imefika katika nyumba hii, tumeweza kuiongelea, tumeweza kujadiliana, na nataka kuwahimiza wenzangu ya kwamba mtusaidie ili tupitishe hoja hii. Kwa hayo mengi, Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba kuhitimisha. Asante.
Hongera kwa Mheshimiwa Irene Mayaka kwa kuendeleza hii hoja kwa lugha yetu ya kitaifa. Mimi sasa nikiwa nimethibitisha kwamba kuna akidi kwa minajili ya bunge kufanya uamuzi, naitoa hoja iamuliwe kwamba bunge la taifa iridhie ripoti ya kamati ya utangamano wa kikanda kuhusu ziara ya ukaguzi kwa taasisi zisizo huru kikamilifu za Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki na ushoroba wa kati katika Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania iliyowasilishwa kwenye meza ya bunge Jumatano tarehe 9 Aprili ama mwezi wa 4 mwaka wa 2025. Wanaunga waseme ndio, wasiounga waseme la. Wanaunga wameshinda na hoja imekubaliwa. Leo ninatafakari kwamba nimeweza kuhitimisha hii hoja tukiwa tunatumia lugha yetu ya kitaifa ya Kiswahili. Haya, hoja inayofuata.
Order number 10, the Criminal Procedure Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2026, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Criminal Procedure Code.
Next order.
Order number 11, the Penal Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 12 of 2026, first reading.
Next order.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Penal Code.
Next order.
Order number 12, the Traffic Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2026, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Traffic Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 13, the Income Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 20 of 2026, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Income Tax Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 17, the Local Content Bill, National Assembly Bill number 45 of 2025, second reading, resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor the last time? Who was this? Who was the last person on the floor, and how many minutes did she or he have remaining? Irene Jockey. Is she in the house? I know. Okay. Any member who's interested now can proceed. And yes, Honorable Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is a very noble, progressive, transformative in all intent. It gives us a golden opportunity to reflect on how we do business and trade with ourselves and with other countries. The bill supposes that local content be protected, some form of protectionism, rather, trying to make sure that our small, nascent industries thrive without being engulfed or suffocated by multinationals. That they are given the space to grow and grow to an international level. That is the intent, kind of, a very noble thing. So as to create employment. We don't have to send our Gen Zs, our youth, for risky errands, crossing the Pacific in search of employment. We protect what we have and absorb most of the unemployed youth locally. That is what it proposes. That prevents the development and growth of local talents because of that kind of protectionism for both the industry and manpower growth. It synergizes local supplies, strengthens it, so that multinationals in this country can also have an appendage of some local content, for the supply is intended to come from home, Mr. Speaker. For quite some time, the benefit of multinationals has been going out of this country, and the host country has always not received commensurate benefit for all the profits they earn in the year. So that is the kind of mindset I have seen our good lady, Honorable Jen, espoused in her bill. However, I'm a bit distracted how this bill is practical. How can it be implemented? Majorly, this work goes to the government. It is the government to do this protectionism. But what it proposes in terms of penalties, regulations by the CS, I feel this bill has to strike a balance between the good things it is trying to give in one hand, proposes, and the actual practicability, implementation. How can a multinational be forced to build the capacity of a local entity? I think that begs for many questions. They have come to trade, they have license. It is not upon any multinational to build the capacity of our local institutions. That is the work of our government. It is the work of our government to give subsidies so that our small industries are not suffocated, they are cushioned, and they get an edge in terms of being competitive and offering better services locally. This bill raises serious compliance issues. How do you really comply? Through this bill, how do you force multinationals to comply with the requirements of this law? Who is the monitor? Who is the prefect? Who shall make sure that these big companies, some of them more powerful than the government, how they can comply with these regulations, Mr. Speaker? The issue of, there is the risk of flight of investors with this kind of strict regulations, because it doesn't talk about quality, attainment of standards required by the same foreign investors, because it's upon us to also showcase our talents and make to international standards. Without that, if we just make sure that all companies, international investors, comply with these rules as espoused, then there will be some kind of deterrence. Investors will leave the country. They will avoid these complications and bottlenecks. And there is the consequences of losing on other benefits once they leave, both in terms of employment and investment, Mr. Speaker. Then conflicts. Imagine of trying to implement, once this bill passes and the president assents to it, can we think of the consequences? Can there be some antagonism, conflict with World Trade Organization rules? That is a concern. Kenya must have international obligations. It is a member of the WTO. So there is that possibility of coming up with conflicts unprepared, and we may not be prepared. So we need to be very thorough and look it through thoroughly and make sure that it can be implemented seamlessly without causing any negative. So it's about balancing the benefits we will accrue from this bill, and it is practicable. Regulator in this bill, who will regulate that these international corporations, international investors, companies comply? And what is the form of compliance? It's a big concern, it's a big issue, in as much as the thinking is good. The intentions are clear and well intended. I believe there are so many things that are discordant, and these bills needs rethinking further. With those few remarks, I still support reluctantly, Mr. Speaker.
MP Fomolo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I would like to congratulate my good friend, the Honorable Jane Kagiri, for coming up with this very timely and useful bill, the local content bill, Honorable Speaker. This morning, Honorable Speaker, we did visit as a Committee of Finance and National Planning a company called M-Copper. So M-Copper is a company based here in Australia. They manufacture phones, smartphones. They do local assembly of smartphones. And Honorable Speaker, it was very interesting to note that they actually make 7,500 smartphones a day. They're employing over 400 people. But the question is, are these phones being consumed locally, Honorable Speaker? And this just demonstrates that it's actually possible for this country to assemble, to manufacture anything. And this is a protection that this bill, Honorable Speaker, sponsored by the Honorable Jane Kagiri, is seeking to do. Honorable Speaker, the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, we had a discussion with them, I think 2 weeks ago. And one of the commitments they are making is that out of all priority medicine, they are going to make sure that by the end of the year, they will manufacture 24 of the priority medicine, that if they are given the correct policies, if they are given the correct incentives, then we can actually grow our local manufacturing and we can ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we have those local content, Honorable Speaker. But I think, in addition, as we put this into law, we need to put this in our hearts. Because, Honorable Speaker, how many of us consume local products? You know, we were laughing the other day. One of my colleagues was telling me he went to London to buy a shirt, to the US to buy a shirt, and bought a shirt coming back, only to realize it is manufactured here in Nakuru by Betty Manufacturing, Honorable Speaker. But they think that because you bought it in London or because you bought it in the US, it's much of a better quality than if it was bought here, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the Finance Act of 2023, this House did approve and introduce excise duty and on locally on imported furniture, Honorable Speaker. And it's very beautiful to note, Honorable Speaker, even our lounge here and all our space, Honorable Speaker, we are seeing furniture that are not imported. We are seeing furniture that has been locally made. We are seeing jobs, therefore, that has been created by that local manufacturer, Honorable Speaker. So it's very important that in as much as we are saying that we approve this particular creation of local content, we must begin in our hearts as Kenyans to appreciate that Kenya has become of age, that there are so many products that can be manufactured, Honorable Speaker. So that, you know, we asked at the conference for the pharmaceuticals, if you find 2 drugs, if you go for a Panadol, and there is one written made in Kenya, and there is another one made in India, and another one made in the US, which one would you buy? Honorable Speaker, that's why I'm saying we must begin by a change of attitude, that we have local products. We have, for example, this House approved in the last Finance Act, Honorable Speaker, incentives to local manufacturing of tiles. And now you've seen that sector has really grown. We are seeing a lot of locally manufactured tiles, Honorable Speaker, across the country, Honorable Speaker. And this is even driving the housing agenda. So, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I want to congratulate the Honorable Jane Kagiri for this particular very timely bill, but also ask Kenyans that let us begin from our hearts, that shirt, that furniture, whatever that is locally made, Kenya has become of maturity to manufacture key products, Honorable Speaker. And lastly, we've seen what reliance on imports can do. Someone in the US decides to flex their muscles with another country in Iran, and all of a sudden it's affecting us because of that particular value chain. COVID-19, Honorable Speaker, taught us that we cannot rely on imports. We cannot rely on these things we're importing from China and other countries. So it's my urge that all of us are going to embrace Buy Kenya, we build Kenya. We are going to be proud of our products, and this particular bill will enhance and make sure that priority is given to local content, even on public procurement, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, I did, Honorable Speaker, sponsor a bill, and this House actually did pass up all the way up to the Committee of the Honorable Speaker on increasing the threshold for local contractors to 1 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker. However, 1 year later, the bill is still at the Senate, Honorable Speaker, and they have not processed that bill. And I think this is to urge our leadership. We have several PFM marks. We have that procurement law that is pending before the Senate to fast track these particular laws, because the intention why we work on these laws is because they are supposed to fix particular problems, Honorable Speaker. And when now Senate sleeps on these particular bills for so long, Honorable Speaker, then justice delayed becomes justice denied. With that, I beg to support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Madam Wandeto, do you want to communicate or you want to communicate with somebody else? You want to contribute or you're communicating with somebody? Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker, and apologies. I was trying to respond to an emergency, so but I'm ready to contribute. And Mr. Speaker, I would also like to support the local content bill. This is timely and important, and I must thank the Member of Parliament for Laikipia for finally thinking about the local person. Mr. Speaker, far too many times we see multinationals come in this country and drivers, lift operators, borehole operators, they are from other countries. And I'll give an example, and not think about the big multinational organization. We have a lot of traders in this country, and an idea mentioned, especially the ones of Asian origin, who, whenever they set up a business here, they bring a lot of unqualified characters through the back door to operate machinery, to deal with shops in industrial area, to operate borehole rigs and things like that. I have first-hand experience in this. So what we are saying here is that anybody wanting to set up a business in Kenya must somehow integrate that business with whatever materials are available here, with whatever skills is available here. Mr. Speaker, this is important even to enable local businesses grow their capacity, because everything that a growing country like ours wishes for is basically invite local investors, but then gradually grow its capacity to produce the same goods, grow its manpower to be able to operate at the same level of skills. So when we have people coming here and they are even having drivers as foreigners, I don't think this is working very well. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at especially what is happening in the construction industry, where I think we are having a very, very sad situation. We have had some of the Chinese contractors are even bringing their own cement and steel, You know, they are importing things that can be made, here in industrial area. So how, as a country, are we going to industrialize? How are we going to get to Singapore? When our Singapore has been hijacked by people out there who are just bringing things. But, Mr. Speaker, this bill must also be handled with a little bit of caution, because Kenya is a signatory to very many international trade organizations. And so we also want to ensure that we respect some of those international obligations that we have as far as trade is concerned. So that's something maybe Jane needs to think through. The other thing is that we must be careful not to send the wrong signals, because we don't want an investor. We are telling them, come and invest, but then as you invest, there are all these conditions. One of the things that Kenya has managed to do very well with what we call the foreign direct investment has been that you have a fairly liberal economy. We can repatriate profits easily. You can do your thing much more freely. So there must be a careful balance. That even as this one is done, it is not sending the wrong signal. So maybe one of the things that Honorable Jane could consider is that this can be implemented gradually. 60% may be too much to ask on day one, especially on local materials. 80% of labor may also be too much to ask, from day one. And also we may need to classify. There are some industries that are very, very specialized. If today Boeing wants to come and start manufacturing aircraft here, it may take a number of years for us to really understand the technology of how this is done. So again, we may need to look at this bill and just ensure that we fine-tune it, so that especially it does not create chances for wrong signals to investors, and two, it also does not create chances for rent-seeking by local cartels. Mr. Speaker, this is a country of cartels. So every time something like this happens, the cartels now want to say, since now you are a contractor, you have to give me the 60% of materials. So you may find politicians and other well-connected characters taking advantage of this, so that instead of it ending up helping the ordinary Kenyans that the Honorable Member for Laikipia seeks to help, it ends up enriching the same characters who are dealing with G2G, who are dealing with stadiums, who are dealing with all these bombers, whereby it looks like there are some foreign investors, but it is the same characters who are literally doing these things, just passing through the back door, and saying they are partnering with some foreign investment. So I support, but Jane has some little bit of work to do, and I think we'll further interrogate this bill as it goes through the various stages of the reading. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Madam Ayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also add my voice in support of the very important bill, the Local Content Bill of 2025 by the Honorable Jane Kagiri. And I'd just like to, first of all, take this opportunity to thank my very good friend, Honorable Jane Kagiri, for bringing this very important and game-changer bill to the floor of this House. Honorable Speaker, currently, as the situation is, because of lack of the local content regulation framework in this country, it has caused a lot of harm in terms of inhibiting the growth of the local industry. It has made the business environment to be very unfair to the local business people, and also made them to become very incompetent. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, this particular bill is very crucial in terms of ensuring that we do have a legal framework that seeks to guide the space and the manner in which the local content is undertaken in this particular country. And Honorable Speaker, just to mention, this is actually not new. We do have similar kinds of bill in other jurisdictions. For example, in Nigeria and Angola, where they majorly focus on oil and gas. We do have a similar one in Brazil, which also focuses in oil and gas. And right here in our neighboring country, Uganda, they did pass a similar bill in 2022, which focuses on ring fencing around local goods and services, and especially to big project areas. So, Honorable Speaker, this is not new, but I really am grateful that we do, and we are going to have this in our country. Honorable Speaker, just to give content and focus on some of the very important articles of this particular bill, when you look at Section 4 and especially Part 1 to 4, which majorly talks about the fact that we want to have at least 60% of foreign companies that they must procure inputs and goods and services from local manufacturers, and specifically in the areas that have been mentioned, that is the insurance sector, finance, construction, and logistical service. That's very important, Honorable Speaker, because when we put a specific figure on it, then it means that someone will not take advantage and try and say that that has not been allocated. So very important that this particular bill has mentioned that. Another important section, Honorable Speaker, is Section 4, Part 6 and 7, which speaks about at least 80% of the workforce within the foreign companies that are established in Kenya must be Kenyan citizens. Because, Honorable Speaker, what this will do, not only will it encourage more and more of our young people to get employment, but it also ensures that the skill that we do have within our country is actually used in this particular space. Because, Honorable Speaker, I'm one person who believes that Kenya has a very high literacy rate, and we do have a lot of skilled people in this particular country, that we don't need to have situations where when a foreign company is established in this country, they also bring for us people from their countries. It's very important that we must have our own people and a larger percentage of Kenyans actually occupying these particular spaces. Honorable Speaker, in terms of local ownership, and especially in the areas of oil and gas and mining. Because, Honorable Speaker, even now, as we are talking about the global crisis that we are currently experiencing, imagine a situation where we had our own oil refineries within this particular country, where we are able to get oil from Turkana, and we are able to actually refine it in this country. Honorable Speaker, I seek to pick a very good example from Nigeria, where the Dangote oil refining industry has done a very good job within that country, and it has really been supported by the government of Nigeria. If we did have a similar situation, and which this bill is going to help us with, imagine what would have happened in this particular crisis if we did have that. Honorable Speaker, in terms of compliance and penalties, which is very important, Section 4, Part 8A and B, which speaks about the fines and stringent measures that have been placed. And I'd really like to applaud the sponsor of the bill, because the fine that has been put there of 100 million and potential imprisonment of CEOs is very important to ensure that anybody who does not comply with this particular bill, once it becomes law, then it means that there will actually be consequences for non-compliance, which will ensure that people are actually taking this very seriously. Honorable Speaker, just to add in terms of the benefits, the primary benefits that we'll get from this, it's in terms of number one, economic empowerment. Because, Honorable Speaker, we seek to have a country that have many more people who are actually able to access jobs, having more people that are actually able to even make profits and actually grow our local industry. Industrial development and technology transfer, also very important, Honorable Speaker, and also in terms of conflict mitigation. Because, Honorable Speaker, if we have a resource, an area which is resource rich in a particular in a particular industry, and we are able to actually ring fence and ensure that that particular area is supported, then it actually does help us. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want to urge my fellow colleagues that we do support this particular very important bill, because it's going to be a game changer in our country, and it will actually go beyond us and assist people for an eternity. With those few remarks, I support and I submit. I thank you.
The Honorable Bissau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. On the onset, I would like to congratulate the very able women representative for the good people of Laikipia for this particular bill. I support it because world over, every country is protecting their local content. And even within the United Nations conventions, if you look at the World Trade Organization, every country is doing everything deliberate to ensure that this is protected. We've seen donor funding, an example. If you're getting a donation for, let's say, transport support, you go to the Swedes, they will propose that we're giving you funds, but you'll be buying Scania. Again, why not us? And I think this was long overdue. And again, I'm really happy to support this bill because clearly, when we are talking about addressing the issue of unemployment, this bill will certainly do that. Also, to ensure that there's no capital flight. Capital flight in the sense that when you get in more foreigners doing the jobs, whatever the earnings, they have to repatriate them back to their countries. What is critical, again, I know there might be issue of balancing the foreign investment interests and our interest as a country, but again, we are not short of expertise. Yes, we are talking about local content, but Kenya as a country, an example, if you went to NASA, you'll find there's a Kenyan there, the space agency. So we don't have a shortage of resources. So again, we need to really support this, but again, we must walk the talk. An example today, even through devolution, we're having many projects being worked out at the county level. An example, the housing project. We would like to see that, an example, by walking the talk, even the local content that's supposed to be available in that county, an example, fabrication of windows and doors. And it's good that the housing department is actually practicing this. We've seen that there'll be a lot of needs for lifts. And already, from the latest approach from the State Department of Housing is to ensure that if you have to supply lifts, and lastly, even within the United Nations, where I was in charge of procurement for technical items sitting in Geneva, there was a component of local content, meaning that when you're in some operational area, you have to ensure that staff, I support.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Jane Kagiri for this very important bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll contribute to this as a person who has done work in this area for a long time in international trade, where I advise so many countries on rules of origin negotiations. Mr. Speaker, I would like to give an example of what Jane Kagiri, the Honorable Jane Kagiri, is talking about. Mr. Speaker, when you did our first SGR, the amount of cement used in doing that SGR, Mr. Speaker, could actually establish a whole cement industry. But what happened? When the Chinese came here, they imported all the cement that was used to do the whole SGR for Mombasa, Naivasha. We had our own companies complaining. You know what they said? That the cement produced locally in Kenya is not suited for this construction, Mr. Speaker. And so they asked, what is lacking in that cement that if you put in there would work for us? So, Speaker, it was a back and forth. By the time we were allowing our local cement to be used in the SGR, the Chinese had imported so much cement, they were selling some of it locally, Mr. Speaker. So we did a project that is worth $500 billion, Mr. Speaker, without a single factory or town rising on the wake of it. Mr. Speaker, contradicting that with the original One Gauge Railway. When it was done, it laid rise to 100 towns, starting from Mombasa through Voi all the way to Butere and into Malaba, the railway line, the original one. That was done at 10% of the SGR. The SGR costed more than $500 billion, no single town on its way, no single factory on its way. So, Speaker, we were importing bolts and nuts. We have a factory in this country owned by the government of Kenya called the Numerical Machining Company, which was well suited. Given 3, 4, 5 months, they have been able to do all the bolts and nuts and the rolling stock. They were not given a chance. What is the net effect of the same? That we spend over $1 trillion shillings keeping people at work in China, making bolts and nuts, making cement, making rolling stock, and we're talking about jobs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, talk about furniture. Go to any government office today, and I've been here when Kibaki was president. I've been here when Uhuru was president. In this administration, we've been told that we will not import any furniture. Some of the best furniture, Mr. Speaker, are produced here in Mombasa Road. But you have ministries importing furniture every single day. Mr. Speaker, in the housing, and you're putting so much money in housing today, Mr. Speaker, and if you see what's happening there, if you're not careful, we'll again lose this local content that Honorable Jane Kagiri is talking about. Mr. Speaker, if you see how the Chinese are building now, they fabricate walls, they do cement, water, and sand in China. They bring walls already done. That's why they are building houses in a month. Because they bring here walls already done. They tell you this will take 2 months. When you allow the Chinese to bring a wall already done, what do you mean? You are importing water, you are importing sand, you are importing cement, you are importing labor. Mr. Speaker, local content is at the key of industrializing of any country. If you can't enforce rules on local content, you can't industrialize. And that is why I'm happy that this is going to be a law, not a policy, not a suggestion, not a speech by a president, but a law passed by this parliament, Mr. Speaker, that if in future we want to distribute fertilizer in this country, and we are spending humongous amounts of money importing fertilizer, we will require factories that are giving us fertilizer to set up shop locally. We will require them to import some raw material, but we will require them to obtain some locally. We will require them to give our local labor to produce fertilizer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when Uhuru Kenyatta was the president, there was a plan to bring it to Nairobi, the rapid bus transit system. And our companies here in this area were saying, we can produce these buses. Tanzanians imported their buses from Kenya, from this area. What did we do? We asked South Africans to bring us 8, 10 buses. In fact, when the president came here, the buses were moved from 8 buses to 32 and then to 64. Importing buses from South Africa, while Tanzanians were importing theirs from this area in Nairobi. Because of lack of a law on local content, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, local content is everything about our international trade. If we don't implement this, then it means that even our EAC negotiations that we do every day and say goods from EAC will attract 0, 10%, sometimes 0%. But now what's happening is that the Indians, the Chinese, the Americans are getting their products into Uganda, into Tanzania, do a few things, modifications here and there, and they now claim that those products originate from Tanzania and therefore they come into Kenya at 0% duty-free. Mr. Speaker, this law will require that the policy makers, the implementers, as a country, can we for a while say that our budget, the things we'll buy 70% of the goods that we produce locally. I say this a lot of respect, Mr. Speaker, that it's a time, and I always wonder why even in Parliament here, we must be having suits that I have to go to some Italian shop and get a nicely cut suit with a tie to come here. Yet, we have Rivertex producing very nice vitenges. We could be allowed to, even if it's mean, tying the knot at the collar. But we cannot promote our local industry if we think local, if we think local is not up to it. We must love our country first before we can be loved by any other person in this world, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you look at what's happening today in the housing sector, we said that we'll produce windows, doors, we'll produce nails, we'll ensure that all those things being used in the housing projects will be produced here, Mr. Speaker. The first few months were okay. But as I speak now, I'm going to invite the Committee of Housing of this Parliament to please, after we pass this bill, please, the money is going to that project of housing. It's a lot of money. It could lead to so many industries here in the country. We want to request that they insist that the construction that is being done from the proceeds of the housing fund be done in strict adherence to the local content law and policy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was just looking at what we are importing lately. The things in a car, for example, the brake pads, the things that you have to change every time you are servicing your car, Mr. Speaker. We should require, for example, if we know that the biggest supplier of cars in the country is Toyota Kenya, we should require them that part of what we're going to have as agreement with you is that we allow your cars to come, yes, But you must establish a local industry producing the things along the line. If it is brake pads, if it is the things we're going to produce to use to service the vehicles, we will produce them locally. The bushes and all these things that we use. Because we cannot, Mr. Speaker, hope to industrialize when you import a car, then import the headlights, then import the tires, then import the rims, then import the bushes, then import everything else in a car. We import piki-pikis, those motorcycles that are used everywhere today, import them into the country. Then even the servicing of the same is being, how do you grow as a country? So I want to thank the Honorable Jane Kagiri for this very good bill and require that once we pass this, one of the things, Mr. Speaker, we should do if you internationalize that the Committee on Trade in this Parliament should ensure that this is done completely so that through this, I'm certain that counties will grow, the country will grow, we'll get jobs for our people, Madam Speaker, and I support and hope that this Parliament will support. Thank you so much.
Just for your benefits, I think we do have laws that we call protective laws to protect the domestic industries. If the last time I remember, if my memory serves me right, for you to qualify for a locally produced thing so that you can have the kind of ratings, which is minimal, if not zero, you had to have 37% of the content. That includes labor also, coming from domestically here. Now, in this bill here, unless there's going to be some amendments to it, and this is just because I'm also a member of Parliament, I can see you are giving the foreign companies that a foreign company shall source at least 60%. Isn't this law even better for the foreign companies than the previous one we had? Because the previous one was that they could, for them to be able to qualify for the kind of rating that domestically produced products have, all they needed to do was to have 35%, 37%. Yes.
This, Mr. Speaker, you're talking about the so-called rules of origin that are inbuilt in trade agreements that we sign.
Yes.
And that's why I said earlier that you've seen, for example, countries like India, China, they then now come with products that are almost completely done. They then repackage them in Uganda or in Tanzania under something called in law transshipment, and then they come in and saying they are regionally produced and therefore they're locally produced. And that's why
the customs union basically.
Correct.
The customs union, what is taxed in an East African community country cannot be taxed.
It's one market now, Mr. Speaker, and that's what you're saying, that then we require authorities to very strict and ensure that this law then helps in plugging those gaps, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for the...
There has to be...
Thank you.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards, as you put it, has to be very, very alert in this situation. Because as you put it, and I'm conscious of what you're saying, that happens a lot. That's happened. Even through the AGOA, the African Growth Opportunity Act, before, foreigners, the whole idea of behind the AGOA was to develop domestic industry, to take advantage of the tax holidays in the US. But what happened? Foreign, Indians, Chinese, and other companies came in here, set shop in here, and used that opportunity. It's not right, and I think it should be illegal. Yes, Dori.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, you've called me the name they used to call me while I was in high school, Dori. Yes. But I'm Donya Dori Saburi, Mama County from Kisii. Okay. I'm actually supporting Honorable Jane Kagiri. Honorable Jane Kagiri, before this House, I've supported one of her bill. The first one was on electricity. And on this one, Honorable Jane, let me just affirm to you, they always say, one word is enough for a wise man. This bill will promote local wealth retention. Money will remain in the local villages, just the same way as when they thought of having counties. initially money was felt in Nairobi, it was not in the villages. But with this one, having the locals doing this work, it is enough to say that there will be retention of wealth with the local people. They feel it. Even somehow, let me just be funny in Kiswahili, they say, mugeni njoo, mwenyeji apone. So the people in the village will feel the circulation of money when they will be employed in these particular sectors, because number one, there is great job opportunities, and even as sometimes politicians, when you go to the ground and they meet 2-3 people, of course you cannot just walk away. They feel that there is money that has been left behind. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill because it will have a wealth retention. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Before I go to the next person, and I think in this case is that Mutunga? Yeah, Mutunga, before you take the floor, I want to welcome students from Mombasa Aviation Institute who are in the public gallery from Vita constituency, Mombasa. So I am trying to see if there's any coastal members of parliament who are here to encourage these progressive, very ambitious young men and women from Mombasa Aviation Training Institute. Should I start with the lady first? Miazi.
Asante sana Spika. Nichukue fursa hii niweze kuwakaribisha wanafunzi wetu kutoka Mvita, kutoka Mombasa County. Tunawakaribisha hapa katika bunge la kitaifa. Kama mnavyoona hapa ndio ni nyumba yenye ambayo sheria zinazotungwa za nchi na mambo yanafanyika hapa ya Kenya nzima. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nimeangalia wale wasichana, nimeona wasichana warembo sana na vijana ambao niko na imani. Tunazungumzia wabunge wanaokuja, magavana wanaokuja, hata marais wanaokuja, kwa sababu tunajua watu wa Mombasa tuko na mpango saa hizi pia na sisi tunataka tuwe tuko mbele, tumeshika mstari mbele, tushikilie bendera ya nchi. Karibuni sana wanangu, tunawapenda, feel free, karibuni sana. Asante sana Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I take this opportunity again to welcome students from Mombasa Aviation. Honorable Speaker, I think it would be important, and to add what my sister, Honorable Amina, said, that the young people who come to just see what happens in Parliament, I think it's a great opportunity for them to shape their ambitions, to shape what they look forward in their lives. And I want to say today, Mombasa Aviation, I've lived in Mombasa for many years, is one of the premier institutions that we have in Mombasa that shapes young minds, shapes young, our youth to become responsible adults, to become, people that will add value to this country. So I want to say to the young people that it's important that you take time, to study, but at the same time, take time to also appreciate what happens in the country. That you've got an opportunity to come to this house. Let this be your wake-up call. So then now you can, grow your dreams. If your dreams do not scare you, then you've not started dreaming. And if you are to change this country, as you Gen Zs have been saying, then you need to take responsibility, you need to take initiatives that will make you not only good in your villages, in where you come from, but you must be outstanding in the country and beyond. So wish you well in your studies, but more importantly, make sure that muko kadi. Asante, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Fair enough. I think, would you want to also do the same? I mean, Madam Fatuma, full network. I thought you were going to talk in Swahili also. To encourage. No, let's finish with the students first. I'm looking at anybody who is, yes, the Nyamira guy, the Honorable Ogaka.
Chief Mogaka.
Ukizungumza Kiswahili pia ni bora zaidi. Endelea.
Nashukuru Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi mwafaka kupokea wanafunzi kutoka Pwani kuja kutembelea bunge letu la taifa. Hili bunge ndio latunza sheria humu nchini, na mtakapomaliza masomo yenu towangoja muwe wa bunge muwe majaji, muwe maprofessional katika nchi ya Kenya. Na sisi tunawaomba kule pwani muendelee kukuza utalii, muendelee kupokea wageni wetu wakija, na muendelee pia kujifunza lugha zingine, isije ikawa ni Kiswahili tu. Tuwakaribisha bungeni na kuwatakia heri na fanaka katika masomo yenu, na majaliwa tutawatembelea kule pwani. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. This is Rosa. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to welcome our young ladies and young gentlemen from the coast region. They look beautiful, like Mheshimiwa has just said, but I also want to let them know that this is a place for them in future. The seats might not be so full at the moment, but this is where laws are made, and I know that they're aspiring to be part of the lawmakers in Kenya, and the sky is the limit. Keep it up, work hard, and you will get there. I want to thank them for coming, and I just want to wish them the best when they go back. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Fair enough. I think that does it for the students from I think that does it for the students from Mombasa. Bwana Bisau, Mheshimiwa Bisau, ongea basi Kiswahili tukusikie vile
Asante sana.
Wanawahimiza wanafunzi wafanye mambo mengi mazuri. Endelea.
Shukran Bwana Spika, ningependa kuchukua nafasi hii kuweza kuwakaribisha wanafunzi hapa. Masomo ni muhimu, ndio kifunguo cha maisha. Kwa hivyo kufika kwenyu hapa, niwaambieni kwamba hakuna kilicho kigumu. Bora mweke masomo mbele, msome na bidii, kila kitu kina wakati wake. Kwa hivyo msome na bidii, mkaribishwe pia hapa kwetu, na mjue nyumba hili ni la yoyote. Bora uweke bidii kwa maisha yenu. Na nyinyi kusafiri kutoka pwani kufika hapa, inathibitisha kwamba kweli mna nia ya kujua nini inafanyika kwenye nchi hii, na pia ni watu wa bidii. Mnaporudi kule pwani, Maulana wajalie na msafiri salama. Shukran Bwana Spika.
Madam Fatuma, wewe pia unataka kuchangia hiyo? Kueleza wanafunzi.
Nitajaribu kwenye Kiswahili. Mheshimiwa Spika, sikukuwa na nia sana ya kuzungumzia kuwakaribisha watoto, lakini nikakumbuka ili mswada ambao tunao bungeni leo ambao imeletwa na Mheshimiwa Jane Kagiri linaangazia kwa kuwekwa mkakati ili tunapoajiri watu tupatie nafasi wa Kenya zaidi. Tunapopeana biashara.
Order.
Naimiza watoto wetu kuwajulisha ya kuwa.
Unawahimiza ama unachangia hoja hiyo?
No, sichangii kwa sasa. Nataka watoto wetu wakisafiri huwa mara nyingi wanasema sisi kama waliochaguliwa hatuwakumbuki. Ningependa leo hii waone wao wenyewe kwa macho ya kuwa ili bunge hao waliowachagua walioko katika bunge hili tunawajali. Mswada ya leo tunao hapa ni kuwajali wao, sio sisi, sababu hao ndio viongozi wa kesho, hao ndio wafanyabiashara wa kesho. Mswada tulio nao, naomba hata wakiondoka waende kwenye Google waiangalie mswada ambao imeletwa na dada yetu Mheshimiwa Jane Kagiri, waone ya kuwa wabunge wa Kenya wanawafuatilia, wanataka waajiriwe kazi, wanataka wapewe nafasi ya biashara. Kwa hivyo tumeweka kwenye roho zetu. Karibuni tena katika bunge hili na asanteni sana kwa kufika hapa.
Nafikiri tumefika kikomo ya kuwakaribisha wanafunzi wa kutoka Mombasa Aviation Institute. Sasa nampa fursa hii Mheshimiwa Bwana Mtunga achangie ile hoja ile tulikuwa nao ambayo ni hoja la
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, as the students leave, I want to tell them that they have received the best reception in this house, because rarely will you find two members of parliament welcoming the students. Honourable Speaker is stand to support this very important bill by Honourable Jane Kagiri of Laikipia. Honourable Speaker, this bill comes in to provide a framework to regulate local content in Kenya, what has not been regulated for a very long time. It is important, Honourable Speaker, that we regulate local content so that we can promote a local industrial development or industrial growth, and also provide the service for sourcing of locally produced materials, goods, and services, so that we can utilize them. Right from the outset, Honorable Speaker, let me go slightly into history. When we were young and in schools, we were learning geography, and especially I have reflection of the Great Lakes region geography in America. If Americans did not protect the Great Lakes agricultural production, I do not think America would be where it is today. Many countries grew from agriculture, and what they start by doing is recognizing the potential there is in the people who form the greater population of such a country, and therefore they make sure that these people's production follows a line that gives them optimum or maximum benefits. And that is in line with protection of the local content. Honorable Speaker, the time frame given by this particular bill to be effective in about a year after having been assented is adequate in my very considered opinion, because we need the requisite adjustments per sector. Some sectors will move very fast to adjust, but other sectors will take a bit of time based on the levels of complexity of and the nature of business of the sector itself, and also the extent to which some of these sectors or some of the investments in the sector have relied on inputs from other countries. Madam Speaker, local content has to do with value addition to the country through basically, to the country's economy, through basically procuring from within the country. And also, supplying materials to the various activities that happen. I've taken some time to look at the objects of this particular bill, Honorable Speaker. I am happy in prescribing minimum local content quotas across sectors. And Honorable Kagiri probably might consider, instead of sticking to 60-40, consider that this prescription can go up to 60-40 based on the nature of the industry itself, based on the nature of the sector itself, and so that we can give flexibility for transformation. Because these industries have got to transform, they have got to refocus, and we shall pass this one as law in this particular house, then we will need that adjustment so that people don't feel, or industries don't feel very constrained. Now, Speaker, there is nothing better than promoting the local industry. This country has immense human power, very developed human power, that is looking for opportunities for employment. We have many youths who are looking for jobs today. If we were very particular on how we use our natural resources, if we are very particular on how we use our production, what we produce in our farms as in view of agriculture, if we are very particular on how we utilize our endowments in minerals and others, we would create opportunities to employ Kenyans faster and better. So local content is really important, Honorable Speaker. Manufacturing is key to the growth of this particular country because we need industries. Industries will come along with better job opportunities and better possibilities to absorb Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, singling out the agricultural sector, I believe Kenya, as we all know, is a lot of an agricultural country than otherwise. I remember, Honorable Speaker, in this House, some members have stood to say, we cannot be proud of Kenya every time talking about 40-50% contribution to the GDP. And Honorable Speaker, in my very considered opinion, what such a member should have said is that how can we utilize this 40, 30, 60, 50% contribution to turn it around so that we can have a lot more coming from the manufacturing sector, a lot more coming from the service sector. And Honorable Speaker, it is not possible to do that unless we focus a lot more on local content. A local content I have in mind, utilization of whatever we produce in the agricultural sector in this country first, even as we consider selling out there. And I have in mind investment in the service industry that, for instance, sell or promote agricultural products. Honorable Speaker, we have services in form of supermarkets, we have services in form of the food outlets, and so on. It is disheartening, Honorable Speaker, to realize and understand that some of these investors in this country import even chilled potatoes to make chips. when the Kenyan farmers can produce any variety of potato that we may need in this world. Honourable Speaker, we have capacity to produce any variety. We have both technical capacity and our farmers have the capacity to do it. In fact, Kenyan farmers tell us, say what you want to be produced, give us the market, and we shall produce it. They have never failed us. Whenever, and you can realize, Honourable Speaker, after the Kenya Kwanza government, through the effort of our president, committed itself to supporting production, rather subsidizing production as opposed to subsidizing consumption, this country has been food secure since, after supporting the farmer with the fertilizer. Now, Honourable Speaker, when we import products like, goods like eggs from South Africa or from other parts of the world, we are curtailing the Kenyan farmer from producing eggs. When we bring in chilled potatoes so that we can eat as chips, we are curtailing our farmers. To foster economic growth, we must consider supporting our people by emphasizing on utilization of the local content. And we have sufficient supply of this local content, save for a few areas. Let me take a minute on our to reflect on our import bill. This country has seen growth in import bill since 2022, 23, from around 224 billion to around 500 billion today. We are spending $500 billion shillings to import food that Kenyans can produce. And this is because of some of the policies problem that has gone on and some of the inclinations of even our manufacturers in this country to procure from outside raw materials other than producing here. Honourable Speaker, I may wish to single out one particular industry, the edible oil industry. Edible oil industry is one industry we can support with raw materials in this country, 100%. Our farmers can produce sunflower, they can produce simsim, they can produce canola, they can produce all sorts of seeds from which we crush and get oil. But we prefer to import instead of producing. And this is just a policy decision that has been taken or was taken some time back to favor a few individuals. Even if you're employing 2,000 people, and then you are making 2 million people destitute, it really doesn't help. Agriculture sector gets 57 billion shillings as a budget, but we spend 500 billion shillings importing food. That's a paradox. Honourable Speaker, as a people, we need to stand with our people and say, why don't we invest in production? Because we can. We import from Uganda. And let me tell you, Honourable Speaker, once they crush their seeds, they also sell at the waste material, the byproduct, so that we can constitute animal feed and feed our animals. So besides even, importing for our own consumption, we also import for our animals. And this is really not focusing on the right direction. So local content is key, and we are able and capable of producing anything that is needed for most of the industries in this country. Honourable Speaker, we have very skilled personnel. I mentioned that at the beginning. We are very well educated young Kenyans. These young Kenyans are substituted and replaced in workplaces because we do not have parameters to measure who actually should access the job opportunities. With this particular kind of legislation, Honourable Speaker, we will be categorical that 60–80% of those who are working in a specific facility should be Kenyans. Else you tell us why you cannot get Kenyans, because they are there, they are trained, they are experienced, and they are knowledgeable, and they can be able to do the job. Again, Honourable Speaker, Kenyans are very industrious. They're very hardworking people. Wherever I found Kenyans working, they are always singled out as the best, whether it is in colleges and universities, whether it is in industry, whatever it is, they are singled out as very hardworking and very focused people. Since we are hardworking and focused, let any investor who comes here, and we respect them and we would like them to come, let them come here and consider working with the Kenyans so that we may do a better job. Honourable Speaker, there are situations where foreigners come here and they don't even understand Swahili. They can only speak in their own languages. And they take quite a while before they can acclimatize, because they can be able to know their way around. Why don't we utilize Kenyans, as it were, and respect these people, because they are coming here to make money. Once they make money, let them take away the money, and then employ our Kenyans so that they can also make a little bit of the money that they are taking by giving the foreigners. Honourable Speaker, when it comes to balancing out in terms of the penalties, I like the provision, Honourable Speaker, of a serious penalty of 100 million. 100 million is not literal. I've been trying to push through serious penalties for some of the atrocity committed in the agricultural sector, and we've never gotten anywhere close to 100 million. And I think 100 million, in my very considered opinion, is good, because we want these people to realize that we mean business, we are serious. Many speakers have said in this House, Honourable Speaker, that some people come even with cement. And we have more than 10 cement making factories. They even come with almost everything, metal, they come with everything. And that is not right. We need to utilize what we have, and that can only be through enforcement, through such a legislation. That's why I thank Honourable Kagiri for bringing up these very good ideas. And with those very few remarks, Honourable Speaker, I support.
Madam Esther Passaris, then Munyazi.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise to support the Local Content Bill 2025 moved by Honourable Jane Kagiri. Honourable Speaker, as we debate, we must strike the right balance. Kenya must remain attractive and competitive as a destination for investors, while ensuring that our people benefit meaningfully from the investments that come into our country. Investors are partners in our development, and we must appreciate the role they play in creating jobs, transferring skills, driving economic growth. The bill should therefore not be seen as punitive, but as a framework for mutual benefit and shared prosperity. The requirement of 60% local sourcing and 80% workforce participation is a step in the right direction. However, we must approach this with flexibility and realism. We can start with a lower achievable percentage and progressively scale up as our local capacity grows. The phased approach will build confidence, encourage compliance, and avoid discouraging investments. Honourable Speaker, even as we discuss the workforce threshold, we must be guided by data and reality. My understanding is that the multinationals operating in Kenya currently employ less than 5% foreign staff. If that is the case, we must be careful that the policy does not unintentionally create room for increased foreign labor and at the expense of Kenyan jobs. Let us therefore ground our decisions on verified data and ensure that any flexibility strengthens rather than undermines local employment. Honourable Speaker, recent global tensions, including the threats in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical route for oil and goods from the Middle East to Kenya, remind us how vulnerable we are to the external shocks. When that route is disrupted, fuel prices rise, the cost of goods increases, and our local economy feels the strain. This bill is therefore not just about participation, it's about economic resilience and security. However, we must also be honest that our current capabilities and limitations. Where local capacity exists, it must be prioritized. Where it does not, we must create a pathway through incentives, partnerships, and phased implementation to build that capacity without discouraging investments. Honourable Speaker, even in the sectors such as the motor industry, we must be realistic. We do not yet have all the raw materials required for full manufacturing, but through regional value chains within the COMESA, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, and by focusing on assembly, components, and value addition, we can still build a strong competitive industry base. We must therefore look beyond the borders and leverage regional production, clusters to strengthen competitiveness, and expand markets and position Kenya as a manufacturing and logistic hub within the region. Honourable Speaker, we have heard concerns about investors importing materials such as prefabricated panels for housing. But we must be honest, we cannot blame investors, whether Chinese or otherwise, for sourcing externally if local products do not meet the required standard, price, or consistency. Even something as basic as screws and bolts, as mentioned by Honourable David Ochieng, come down to competitiveness and quality. It is therefore the responsibility of the Ministry of Investment and Trade and Industry, working together with the Kenya Bureau of Standards and sector ministries to ensure that our local industries are competitive, certified, and able to meet investor needs. Local content must be earned through quality, reliability, and price competitiveness, not enforced at the expense of standards. Honorable Speaker, if we are serious about attracting investors to set up locally, we must also provide targeted incentives. This includes tax waivers, duty exemptions on machinery and equipment required to establish manufacturing plants. By lowering the cost of setting up, we encourage investors to build locally, create jobs, and transfer skills to our people. At the same time, we must take a practical approach to skills transfer. Work permits for specialized foreign expertise should be structured in a way that ensures deliberate knowledge transfer to Kenyan workers. These permits should be time-bound and linking training, mentorship, and capacity building to our people. Honorable Speaker, we must also ensure that local content does not become a preserve of a few well-connected entities. It must intentionally include small and medium enterprises, women-led businesses, and youth entrepreneurs who form the backbone of our economy. We must guard against fronting where foreign companies hide behind local proxies while real value continues to flow out of the country. Strong monitoring and enforcement mechanisms are therefore critical. Honorable Speaker, we must also address the fundamentals that make local manufacturing viable. If we lower the cost of energy, and ensure reliable supply of raw materials, we will attract investors to manufacture locally. This will reduce production costs, eliminate excessive transport costs, and make goods more affordable to Kenyans. At the same time, we must invest in the quality of our raw materials and the standard of workmanship of our people so that the products can compete locally and globally. Ultimately, Honorable Speaker, local content must mean real partnership, real opportunity, and real transformation of our economy. Let this bill send a clear message. Kenya is open for investment, but investments that grow us, build us, and benefit our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Amina Munyazi, endelea pia uchangie hoja hii.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Jambo la kwanza ni kushukuru kwa kunipatia nafasi hii kuweza kuchangia hii hoja. La pili ni mshukuru dadangu Jen kwa kuweza kuja na hoja muhimu kama hii Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama mwanzo kuunga mkono mswada huu unaolenga kuunda mfumo wa kudhibiti maudhui wa bidhaa za Kikenya ili kuhakikisha kampuni za wawekezaji wa kigeni wanaweka kipaumbele kwa bidhaa, huduma na kazi za Kenya ili kuweka thamani ya kiuchumi nchini. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi natoka sehemu za pwani. Sehemu za pwani sisi tunajulikaniwa sana na biashara ya utalii. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilipokuwa nasoma mswada ambao umeweza kuletwa hapa na dadangu Jen, kuna vitu venye ambavyo vimenivutia katika mswada. Na katika zile hoja zenye ambazo zimenivutia, ya kwanza ni kwamba katika hii hoja inazungumza kwamba 80% ya wafanyikazi ambao wanafanya kazi katika kampuni za wageni ambazo ziko hapa ndani ya nchi yetu ya Kenya iwe ni wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii imenivutia sana sana kwa sababu kama unavyojua Mheshimiwa Spika, kule pwani ni mahali pa tourism na sisi tuko na vilio kule Mheshimiwa Spika. Kilio cha kwanza kwa masuala ya utalii, wale ambao wanafanya katika kazi za utalii wanaelewa. Katika hizi kazi za utalii Mheshimiwa Spika, utakuta kuna kampuni ambao ni ya mtalii, kuna hoteli ambao ni ya mtalii, na wageni wakiingia hapa Kenya wanachukuliwa wanapelekwa paka pale ndani ya ile hoteli Mheshimiwa Spika. Wanapochukuliwa wageni katika ile hoteli Mheshimiwa Spika, wanaambiwa na wale watalii wenye ambao wako hapa Kenya na ni wawekezaji hapa ndani ya Kenya, wanawaambia wale watalii wenye ambao wamekuja kwa sababu ya safari na kuzuri nchi yetu, wanawaogopesha na kuambia ya kwamba wasifanye kazi na wale watu wenye ambao wako pale nje, Mheshimiwa Spika. Nikisema hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, namaanisha katika biashara ya utalii pale ndani ya hoteli kuna biashara ndogo ndogo kama za vitenge, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ukizunguka pale Mombasa, Malindi, Mheshimiwa Spika, utaona wamama wengi, vijana wengi wameweza kuweka biashara zao za vitenge, biashara zao za pareo, biashara zao za kuuza bidhaa ndogo ndogo. Na saizi Mheshimiwa Spika, tunavyozungumza, wale watalii wanawafungia hawa wageni wasiende kwenda kununua vitu kule nje, Mheshimiwa Spika, zenye ambazo zinauzwa na wale wa Kenya. Sasa mimi swali langu Mheshimiwa Spika, iwapo mtalii ametoka Italy, amefika Malindi, anaambiwa akae ndani ya hoteli, asinunue pareo na leso kwa wale wamama ambao wako pale nje, wale wamama wangu wa pareo, Mheshimiwa Spika, watakula nini? Sisi tunaleta hawa watalii, hawa wageni, ili tuwe na uhusiano wa kuweza kusaidiana, lakini si kwamba waje hapa watufaidi sisi na sisi tusipate chochote. Mheshimiwa Spika, inasikitisha kwa sababu wale ambao wageni ambao wanamiliki hizi kampuni ama hizi hoteli wako na biashara ndogo ndogo mpaka zile za pareo. Kumaanisha ya kwamba wewe kama ni mgeni umefika pale hotelini Malindi, pareo badala ya kwamba uende ukanunue nje kwa wale wa mama na vijana naenda kuwasaidie, wanalazimishwa wanunue pale pale ndani ya hoteli. Na ukiangalia wale wenye kuuza zile pareo pale ndani ya hoteli ni wale wazungu wenye ambao wanamiliki zile hoteli, Mheshimiwa Spika. So hapo watu wetu na wananchi wetu pia wanaumia kwa hapo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna safaris ambazo huwa zinauzwa katika hizi hoteli. Inasikitisha ya kwamba kuna wageni kadhaa katika mahoteli yao. Hata pia zile safaris, kama ni mtalii umekuja uko Malindi katika hoteli moja, unauziwa safari za kwenda Amboseli, unauziwa safari za kwenda Mara. Hapo juzi na jana Mheshimiwa Spika, Waafrika wetu, Wakenya wetu ndo walikuwa wanamiliki hizo kampuni za safari. Saizi kile kinachoendelea Mheshimiwa Spika, hizi hoteli zenye ambazo zinamilikiwa na watu ambao si wa Kenya wanauza safaris pale pale ndani ya hoteli. Ina maana huyu mtalii aliyetoka Germany amefika Malindi, yeye akitaka kwenda Mara hapitii katika mikono ya Mkenya, yeye anapitia kwa mikono ya wale wageni, pesa zote, bali ya kwamba ile pesa iweze kucirculate, kila mtu aweze kupata pande lake, zile pesa zinamalizikia kwa yule mgeni na yule mwenye hoteli pale, ambapo naona si vizuri Mheshimiwa Spika. Imefika kiwango mpaka hivi sasa kazi zile ndogo ndogo Mheshimiwa Spika, kama kazi ya animator. Mheshimiwa Spika, animator ni wale vijana utaona na kina mama wenye ambao wanazungusha watu pale mahotelini na kuwaongelesha na kuwapatia historia ya mji wetu wa Malindi. Inasikitisha ya kwamba mpaka dakika hii Mheshimiwa Spika, kazi ndogo ndogo kama animator pia saizi Mheshimiwa Spika zinabebwa na watu wenye ambao si wananchi wa Kenya, ambao hawana uraia wa nchi wa Kenya, wanafanya wao hizo kazi. Hivi leo Mheshimiwa Spika, hata nilipoona hii mswada nikapiga simu huko nyumbani haraka kuuliza mambo yako vipi. Naambiwa paka waiters saizi Mheshimiwa Spika, ukizunguka Malindi kuna hoteli zingine ambazo waiters wa pale ama wahudumu wa pale pia ni wazungu. Sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nakaa najiuliza swali, hawa watu wetu, wa Kenya wetu, wa Afrika wetu wanapata nini ama watakwenda kupata nini kama kazi zote wameweza kuzichukua wao wenyewe Mheshimiwa Spika? So mimi Mheshimiwa Spika, ninaposimama hapa naunga mkono huu mswada kwa sababu mimi nataka wawekezaji wafike Malindi. Nataka kuona hotel industry bado imeweza kufufuka. Lakini ninapopigania hivyo vitu vyote Mheshimiwa Spika, napigania pia watu wangu waweze kuajiriwa katika zile hoteli, watu wangu waweze kufanya kazi na zile hoteli, na si kwamba mtalii amekuja amefungua biashara hapa na kila kitu anachukua yeye. Mheshimiwa Spika, hilo nalo hatuwezi kulikubali, na ndio maana naunga mkono mswada. Jambo la pili Mheshimiwa Spika, kama unavyojua nimesema sisi ni wa kutoka Pwani, na wakati sisi tuko na access ya pale Kenya Ports Authority, Mheshimiwa Spika, inasikitisha kama vile wabunge wengine walivyotangulia kusema ya kwamba kuna baadhi na kuna vitu vingi ambavyo vinaletwa katika nchi yetu ambavyo sisi wenyewe tunaweza kujiundia, sisi wenyewe tunaweza kujitengenezea, tukaweza kuajiri watu wetu na tukaweza kusongeza maisha ya nchi yetu mbele. Lakini kitu ambacho kinasikitisha Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba zile kazi katika hizi kampuni, hususan zile ambazo zinapatiwa kandarasi kubwa na serikali yetu wa Kenya, Mheshimiwa Spika, wale ambao wanatengeza mabridge hapa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, wale ambao wanatengeneza mabarabara hapa Kenya, sisi tunawaona Mheshimiwa Spika, na tukitembea nikizunguka wakati wa SGR ilipokuwa inatengenezwa, barabara zinapotengenezwa, hizi kampuni Mheshimiwa Spika, utaona wale low level wafanyikazi wa chini kabisa ndio utaona ni wale wafanyikazi wa ngozi nyeusi, ndio utaona ni wale wa Kenya. Lakini wale wafanyikazi wenye ambao wako katika anga za juu ama wana positions za kubwa za juu, utaona ni watu wenye ambao hawatoki Kenya, ni watu wenye ambao wanakuja kutoka nchi. Hawa watu wanalipwa mishahara. Zile pesa Mheshimiwa Spika, baada ya kwamba ziweze kutumika hapa, pesa nyingi zinakwenda kule nje na zinakwenda kutumika huko. Bidhaa zenye ambazo wao wanaleta, hawataki kutumia bidhaa zetu za hapa Kenya, wanachukua bidhaa zenye ambazo ziko kule nje Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, na niseme kwa sababu kuna kampuni kadhaa na mimi nimeona hii tabia sana na Wachina. Utaona ya kwamba vitu vyote vimeletwa, wanajinunulia wao wenyewe, wanajifaidisha wao wenyewe, na tunaona Mheshimiwa Spika madharau madogo yenye ambao yako katika hizi kampuni. Sasa hawa watu kama tutakuwa tunawapatia kandarasi na wanaajiri tu wale watu wa chini, na hata wale watu wa chini walioajiriwa Mheshimiwa Spika hawaangaliwi vizuri Mheshimiwa Spika. Kuna madhara mengi ambayo yanaendelea pale. Pesa zote zinarudi kule kwao. Mheshimiwa Spika, hili ni jambo la kusikitisha sana. Tunataka kupata mabadiliko. Sisi ni wa Kenya na lazima tuweke interest ya watu wa Kenya mbele, na interest ya watu wa Kenya ndio hiyo iko mwanzo. So mimi naunga mkono mswada ya kwamba sisi saizi kama vile kimombo wanasema buy Kenya, build Kenya. Ningependa kutoa usia pia kwa Wakenya wenzangu, tupende vile vitu ambavyo sisi wenyewe tunavitengeneza, tuweze kuinuana sisi wenyewe kama Wakenya na tuzidi kusonga mbele. Kwa hayo machache, asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Fatuma kisha Rosa Buyu. Kisha Bwana Mashako, pole. Mashako, ngojea Fatuma aongee. Kisha Rosa, kisha wewe sasa. Msimu huyu anaonekana ni wanawake bwana.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I must say you're very gender sensitive today. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, as I stand here, I must state that I support Honorable Kageri's bill. This is a very good bill. I must say my sister, being a first-timer, is really working. This is the second time that she's bringing a serious item to the floor. And we have many here, not in a bad way, who have been long-timers here, and have done very little if there's anything to say. So I must say she's encouraging us who came into this house same time with her. Honorable Speaker, this bill will create a lot of jobs. Honorable Speaker, I would like to bring to the attention of the House that, to give an example, CS Duale, some few months ago, withdrew licenses for doctors who are not professionals, who are not really professionals, who are not providing no, I don't know which term to use in doctor's term, but I think they are called specialists. Honorable CS Duale withdrew those licenses for those doctors, stating that he wants local doctors who have same expertise to offer the same service.
Yes, what's the point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want colleagues, we need to be sensitive to each other. This is a very important motion, Mr. Speaker, which you want to support, Mr. Speaker. And I want to warn my colleagues, because you know it's only out of order, because it's only 29 minutes remaining. Why can't we take only 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, so that we can contribute, because others also want to contribute, Mr. Speaker.
Was I really out of order, Honorable Speaker?
No, you are not out of order.
Then why did you have to raise it when I'm speaking, Honorable Speaker? That's unfair on me, but I'll continue, and I'm a very short person. I don't speak much. Honorable Speaker, going back to my sentiments, I was applauding Honorable CS Duale for having withdrew licenses of doctors who offer services that our young local doctors here can offer. That's an example of good leadership. And I want to tell other CSS and other managers and CEOs and the rest that give Kenyans the first priority in events where Kenyans can perform even better than the people being brought from outside. Give Kenyans the first priority. So I believe if this bill comes to the House and it passes, I believe that the job creation that our young people are crying about will be at least settled. Honorable Speaker, this bill will also sort and support our tax. You see, most of these investors from outside, or even those who are employed who come from outside, they don't pay the tax here. They pay the tax back at their homes. And so we lose as Kenyan. But if we employ a local person, it is a sure bet that that tax will be paid. And so we'll promote, we don't have to borrow all the time. We'll have a way of getting our own money within our country. So I support it on that too. Honorable Speaker, this also will bring multiplier effect. When money is paid locally, it is also spent locally. When money is paid to someone whose account is in the UK but is working in Kenya, you are sure that the money will be spent back in the UK or any other country that is outside Kenya. So when you employ a Kenyan, the money remains with us here, and so it also makes our money stronger. Honorable Speaker, it will also promote fresher quality. When you give a Kenyan to supply you with local fresh goods, you are sure that the goods will be fresh because the transportation is a shorter period. But if you have to bring it from other countries and pass it through all these other shipping and all the rest, you are sure that the goods will not arrive here fresh. And again, that also brings the price high. An example is what is happening with oil now. Because we are depending on this, I don't know what is happening in which country, between which country and the ship and the world. You see now, fuel is very expensive. But an example, if you were to produce it locally, it would surely be cheap, and those who was outside there would not affect us at all. Honorable Speaker, also when we produce locally and promote our production locally, there'll be community identity. They'll be unique, there'll be cultural and values preservative in the country. For example, you see T-shirts that are made here in Kenya. They write Hakuna Matata, Hakuna Mashaka. You see, our culture is we want our country not to have matata. So our clothing here is written Hakuna Matata. An imported cloth is written Marks and Spencer. And you wonder what is Marks and Spencer. But when you see Hakuna Matata, you are reminded that in your country, you should not bring matata. So we promote our culture, and which is a very unique regional culture. Honorable Speaker, also it promotes personalized services. These are tailor-made services. Just as I've mentioned, like the clothing that we are talking about. Honorable Speaker, as I finish, I want to give an example. When we promote Kenyan employing Kenyans or using goods from Kenya, I come from a gold mining area in Nyatike in Migori County. Initially, the gold miners had to buy, I think it's called a stone or gold crusher. The crushers mostly were coming from China and India. What did our local artisans do? They got the product, they deassembled it, opened it completely, studied it, and then now they're making their own. One machine would cost us 2 million. Now it's costing thousands, 40,000 up to 30,000. A product that was very expensive and local artisans could not afford. So that tells you, if we promote Kenyans, if we employ Kenyan employees and promote our own products, it's very good for us as a country. As I finish, I would also like to make a recommendation that instead of calling it local content bill, if we could call it local sourcing and content bill, so that at least it would cover a larger area. Honorable Speaker, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I pray that it passes. I applaud my sister, Honorable Jane Kagiri. Keep it up, dear sister.
If we spend as little time as possible without repeating what has already been said, I think it will go a long way in almost every member getting accommodated who has an interest. I noticed there's a lot of interest. Rosa, continue, proceed. I know you're a very precise, concise, and you make sense, a lot of sense. So proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but Mr. Speaker, you are limiting me.
No, I'm not limiting you.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity, and I want to congratulate Member of Parliament, Honorable Kagiri, for coming up with such a bill at a time when Kenya is grappling with high unemployment rate. Honorable Speaker, this bill is about Kenya. It's about the people of Kenya. And it's about the protection and enhancement of goods and services and labor and skills and everything about the people of Kenya, so that at least the Kenyans can benefit from what they possess or have as Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, this bill is really timely because Kenya believes in offering or inviting investors into their country. But that does not mean that investors should come to Kenya and benefit from Kenya without Kenyans benefit from their investment. We know what happens with trade when trade is lopsided. People can import or we import a lot of things into our country, but when it comes to us exporting anything into their country, they have issues. But what this bill is talking about is Kenya will offer investment opportunities, but at the same time, Kenya must also benefit from that investment. And when the bill states that 60% of the goods that are used must actually be supplied from the local market, and 80% of people employed in the industries must actually be Kenyans, that only goes to enhance the fact that Kenya must